some current news that's going on, and a word that a lot of us don't understand, and it's conservatorship.
Conservatorship. Okay, so let's begin by saying conservatorship is what they use in California. The normal term that many other states use is guardianship. Okay, conservatorship is just a term they use in California, but here in Florida and a lot of other states, we say guardianship. And this guardianship case, one, it's an important case. When I was in college, I was in this fraternity, and one of the guys in the fraternity somehow had a connection to her. So we had a signed poster of her at the fraternity house, and it by far was like the most cherished possession of the whole fraternity. It was crazy. It was like, let's just make sure we save the poster. Anything burns down, forget the years of history.
Yeah.
I can't remember what we would call the, every year you take a new picture and there's like the class of whatever. That could have gone up in flames, my friend. Like that, the charter of the fraternity, all that stuff. See you later. We got to save the Britney picture. Got to save it.
It's huge.
Yeah.
Saving Britney back in college.
Yeah. We cared back then, man. So this conversation about guardianships is such a bigger conversation than just Britney Spears. I honestly think that John Oliver did one of those HBO shows about guardianships because there's so many problems with this particular area of law. There's so much greed and graft and fraud and all kinds of wild stuff going on. But this is the basic idea. These are one of these things where, like, in principle, it sounds like a good idea, but when you see it play out, it is insane. So in principle, if someone cannot take care of themselves, take care of their person, or take care of their finances, it may be a good idea to have a third party, someone else step in and basically manage that for them.
Is this the equivalent of a Baker Act type thing? You need a certain amount of signatures to say that they're incapable?
Yeah. It's very, very similar how a Baker Act occurs in Florida and a guardianship. The process is very similar. But the difference between the Baker Act is the Baker Act, you're held involuntarily. That's the key. You're held somewhere involuntarily, basically until these doctors give you the go-ahead. So they say you don't meet the criteria anymore. A guardianship, you're not held involuntarily. You involuntarily give up your rights. And a lot of these rights are not like rights written down. They're rights that you have as just being a human being, just being a normal person. You have certain rights to make decisions about yourself. You basically give them up involuntarily to somebody else. So in principle, it sounds like a good idea. We want to take care of people who can't take care of themselves. The problem is there's not a really good group of people to give these rights to. That's the problem. That's where all the problems start. So in Florida, in our guardianships, if someone is determined to be in the need of a guardianship, we have these people who are professional guardians, okay? They get paid to act as a guardian, to basically act as that manager for the person. But what people don't understand is they get paid from that person's estate. So here's an example. Let's say I got an elderly mother, all right, and my dad died, and my dad worked for Gulf Power for years, and Dad was a really country kind of guy, didn't spend any money, but Dad died, and he has $2 million. He worked for Gulf Power for all these years. He had life insurance, and he had stocks, and he did all the right things. And now Mom has this $2 million. Let's say Mom is just like a lot of other people when they get older, their mental capability is not as good as it was when they're in their 30s, 40s. There is a possibility that me as the kid can file a petition with the court, force Mom to get evaluated with doctors, and not just any doctors, but doctors who do this, right? They're not just picking doctors out of a hat. These are doctors who are on a schedule to do this.
Like a medical marijuana doctor?
Kind of, yeah.
I didn't want to go there, but...
Yeah. So this is... Dude, if you want me to really go there, I'll tell you how it goes down. let's say I do this kind of law, and so does Mike. Okay, client comes and hires me. What I do is I file a petition, and I ask the court to appoint Mike as the old lady's attorney. And I'll tell the court, hey, judge, we need to make sure that her rights are protected. You know, I don't want to take away her rights if it's unneeded. But me and Mike, you know, we're buddies.
I'm also looking out for her best interest, okay?
Right.
You guys need to know this.
Right. So what goes down is she's forced to go to these doctors. These doctors do some examinations, and they create these reports. And depending on what the report says, you know, she may have some of her rights taken away. Now, how do I get paid? Here's the good part. I get paid from her assets. Not the kid that came and hired me. I get paid from the $2 million. Where does Mike get paid? Mike gets paid from her assets too. So, what then may happen is, let's say the next go around, whoever the nefarious kids are, and I don't want everyone to think that this happens with kids, but I'm just using it as an example. Let's say the next go around, the people hire Mike to get a guardianship over someone. Well, who does Mike want to represent the person that we call the ward? His buddy. And that's how it works.
Casey Kasem had to, Casey Kasem, similar thing or the same thing. The daughter of Casey Kasem basically had to fight, and there's something passed about that. I mean, had to fight just to see the father who was dying, and the mother or the wife was taking him in a plane from country to country to try to keep away.
So here's the weird thing, is there's two basically categories of rights that get taken away. Your rights to make decisions about your person. This is normally seen in the medical context. Okay, you can't make decisions about your medical care or your rights as it relates to your finance. So there are a lot of people in Pensacola who are what we call indigent. I mean, they're as poor can get, and they have disabilities. Majority of these people have had lifelong disabilities, genetic disabilities. Yeah. Well, these people sit in these homes that do their best to take care of them. But to try to find a guardian for those people is impossible because the guardians don't get paid. There's no money to get paid. Now, if you got a real rich person, you got a line of people wanting to show up to be guardians.
Shoe shiners. Anything to be put on the payroll, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I just petitioned to take over your accounts or your decisions, and then I threw myself on the payroll. And nobody else will do it in other places because they can't.
Correct.
How crooked.
Yeah, it's insane. It's absolutely insane. Now, so I will say this because I think I should be straight. When this started getting more attention, the judges here in Florida really started, I would say, becoming more involved. So there's one local judge, and I don't mind naming her because I think she's done a very good job with this, Judge Kinsey. I had a guardianship case, and it's one of the ones where the person's indigent. To be honest with you, when I heard about how this whole guardianship went down, this was many years ago, I bought a guardianship practice, really because I wanted to help these people out. So I used to represent a bunch of people who were incapacitated, but they were also poor. Right,
You were interested?
Yeah, because I was interested, and I heard about all the grift and graft that was going on. So I said, man, why not? Let me learn about this stuff.
See, that's awesome because knowing that makes me excited even about, hearing that there's a lawyer like that, or someone that's excited about their job or wanting to do something to make change.
Well, don't get too excited because I represent the poor people, so it financially probably wasn't the greatest decision. I didn't really get paid on these cases, but this is what went down. I was representing one of the wards, and every year, if it's a full guardianship, there's reports that have to be filed. Okay. Some judges really, really read this stuff. Maybe some judges don't. But I'm telling you right now a story about a judge who really, really read the stuff. So some of the reports you file are actually medical records. If the person is is disabled, the court should be able to review what's happening with their care and their treatment. And one of the reports was this little line about having to have a dental procedure. To be honest with you, I didn't even catch it myself. So we filed this report, and the judge sends this email to me. Give me more information about the dental procedure she had on this date. And I'm like, dental procedure? What are you talking about? I didn't even notice that in the records, but she cared enough to want to know about this one dental procedure. I mean, this person's completely incapacitated. I mean, they're at a home, bedridden. The judge honestly cared enough for me to track down somebody to give more information about what was the dental issue and how did it work out and what happened. So I thought that was interesting, because I never had a judge get that detailed with these reports before. So that was a good thing. But the reality is you have no idea how many people are under these guardianships in the state of Florida. It is a huge, huge amount.
Like 50,000?
More than that. Honestly, more than that. I mean, there are so many in Pensacola that we can no longer find guardians. So tomorrow, if someone is indigent, they don't have any money, and they're disabled. So you got to imagine people who have been disabled their whole life, they've never worked. You know, they're only getting Social Security. So they are absolutely indigent. Trying to find them a guardian is impossible. You can't do it.
So in regards to Brittany, she's obviously talented, which shows competence. I'm not really following it. I know you might know a little bit about it.
I heard her speak to the judge. I guess it was a Zoom call or something that they made, but I heard that. Did you hear that?
So I know about when it started. It started in 2008. I know about why it started. She had some mental breakdown issue 2008, and that's about all I know. But knowing how the process should work, Brittany, because she's the one who's having these rights taken away from her, she has due process, meaning she has protection that has to occur. And normally, at least here in Florida, it's reviewable every year. So every year, of whether or not the person needs the guardianship comes up. Okay, if it's a legit guardianship, there's usually no question at all that they need it. It's an obvious answer. Yes, the person needs it. They're disabled. Brittany, maybe she needed a limited guardianship for 2008, 2009. But to say at this point in time, I read that she made $137 million working in Vegas over the last several years. I mean, that is insane to say she has the same thing that my clients who can't even say their own name has here in Florida.
And to think that somebody else has put her in that position and then put themselves on that payroll.